Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, and yeah, it's Tuesday. I do have an affirmators card, but I want to talk about something before I get there. So some of you may have noticed I haven't been on for the last couple of days, except Friday, but this seems to be a yearly occurrence where right before Christmas I start to get super blue and this, that, and the other. And I'm sure there's a lot of different reasons, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way and have a lot of their own personal reasons on why that these things happened. And for me, I think, yeah, part of it is about being single. It's hard during the holidays because you see all these commercials for all this, oh, look at all the love in the air and blah, blah, blah. But I have a big family, so I'm very grateful for that. But I think more so it was a little bit of anxiety coming up because for the first time in I don't even know how many years, I'm going to be spending Christmas with my family and not just older sibling. So, my dad and I would meet for either Christmas Eve or a couple days before Christmas or the week before Christmas. But this year we've decided, yeah, let's go up and celebrate with the whole family. And that brought up some feelings I thought I dealt with and hadn't dealt with. And so I kind of had I don't want to say an epiphany last night, because it wasn't really an epiphany. I think I knew what it was the whole time. And one of the reasons I'm sharing this is because my struggles with my mental health before I really started getting help and everything has kind of been the catalyst for a lot of these feelings that I've been having. And a lot of it is because in 2012, my mental health was in such a bad place. And, I was really kind of moving into this, acknowledgement of actually having mental health issues and really kind of acknowledging that I had a dinged up mental health. But, it was struggling for whatever reason. I mentioned sometimes being single during the holidays is hard, and it was probably that reason. And just a lot of other things that just pile on you and pile on you and pile on you. And so in my mom, as I mentioned in previous perspectives, my mom had a little bit of trouble dealing with my mental health. And I don't mean, and I mean in the sense that it scared her. Nothing more than it scared her. Okay, and it really did. I think whatever experience she had in the past with family members, I think it, because she had an uncle who, as some of my friends say, unalived himself, which I find a very interesting way to put things, but he did. And for whatever reason, and I tried to explain to her, even before I acknowledged the fact that I had mental health issues, I remember I was in my late teens, and she's all, well, this, that, and the other. And I said, no, when he did that, it was probably just the straw that broke the camel's back, whatever reason that she gave me for why he did what he did. And I think that scared her. And I don't think she knew how to move forward when I tried to tell her when I was in my early 20s that I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, or I don't know if it existed back then, but I was, the term, but I was diagnosed with depression. And she was just like, nope, we don't talk about that in public. And, you just have to be stronger. That was always her thing. Every time I tried to bring up something about my mental health, you just have to be stronger. So it's kind of like, okay, all right, whatever. And I think I had spiraled at this point in 2012. And one of the reasons I'm being open with this is because I really want people to sit and listen to what I am saying. Whether you have a dinged up mental health or you know somebody who does. Or you're like my mom and it scares the shit out of you. I want people to listen for this reason. Because I don't want the person who skips a family function to feel guilty because they couldn't be honest about what they were feeling. I could not function that day. I knew that I could not make that drive. It's not a long drive, but this is California, so 50 miles, which would take less than an hour, depending on how fast you're driving, can literally add up to a few hours of drive time, depending on when you leave. And I didn't have that in me. I didn't have that energy. And, for people who struggle with depression, that sometimes when you're spiraling or you're in the midst of having a moment with yourself and your dinged up mental health, it can be rather draining, and it can be, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So I called and I told my mom, I said, I will not be there. I put on my best I'm sick voice and told her I had the flu. Because if I told her I had, I was struggling or spiraling or whatever we called it back then in 2000, 11 years ago, she would have just said, well, you just need to suck it up and you need to be stronger and you need to show up for your family. And I couldn't. I just didn't have it in me to do the fake it till you make it or make that drive. And for some people, it might seem like a cop-out. For me, it's not. I love my family. I love them very much. I love spending time with them. I have a great time with them when we're all together. And it really bothered me to not be there. So, but I told her, and she bought it. So, and I said, okay, well, I'll see you next Christmas. Well, the next Christmas, her, at the time, undiagnosed pancreatic cancer was really kind of showing itself. She'd been sick for over a month. Had a cold for over a month. She couldn't fight it. She couldn't work her way through it. And so she called me and said, I'm really sorry. She's like, but I'm not going to be able to see you guys at Christmas. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah. She's like, I just can't shake this cold. And I can't make the drive and sit there and just be uncomfortable. So my mom said to me, she's like, so, but don't worry, because I was kind of bummed because, I had skipped the previous year and I hadn't been honest with her on why. And she's like, don't worry, babe. She's like, I'll see you next year for Christmas. And then she told me she loved me. And that would have been our last Christmas together because she died the following September. Good morning, baby bear. So for 11 years, I want to say 11 years, but probably a little bit less than that, I've been carrying that guilt. And I've absolutely hated Christmas for the longest time because I felt trapped in my lie about, being sick when it was really just having a bad mental health day. And, like I said, this is before I sought therapy. This is before I really got real help, before I went on the meds, before I went on my antidepressant. And when I thought I could handle it. When I thought I could handle it on my own, and I couldn't. And so I kicked myself for many, many a year. And I would still go to Christmas for the next couple of years, I would go to Christmas. But it just got harder and harder. And I got tired of doing the fake it till you make it. And I would make the excuse of, well, it's a long drive, or no, I'm not going to be there, or yeah, and I was honest with my family. It's like, yeah, I'm still struggling with Christmas because of mom. And, but this year my dad threw a whammy at me. He's like, well, I'm getting a hotel room. Why don't you and Laura come down the day before so you don't have to leave early, blah, 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 and get out there. It's like, okay. I couldn't say no. I mean, how could I say no? Because he would have said, well, why? He's like, you can't use driving as your excuse. But I think it was, and I didn't want to tell him because my mental health is doing fine right now. I'm in a good place. I'm figuring it all out. When these kind of things come up, I learn to journal it out. And so finally, after probably a good 2 weeks, because it started last week, which you noticed I wasn't on except for Friday, I ignored the problem. I ignored what was going on. And so finally, last night I journaled about it. And I realized, it's like, what would my therapist say? My therapist is always telling me, you got to stop living in the past. So you're not there anymore. She's all, look how far you've come. Look at all the tools that you have. Look at everything you've done to work through and to keep yourself from spiraling in different directions. And I have. And I figured, I briefly touched on it with a Twitter friend when I was checking in with a couple of my friends, see how they were doing. And I decided to let it go. So we do have an affirmators card today, but I wanted to share that, and I wanted to be open about my mental health. Because like I said, a lot of times I used to come on in the midst of having poor mental health because I wanted people to really understand that just because we look okay doesn't mean we're always okay. It takes a lot of strength to work through mental health things when they pop up, when they rear their ugly heads or show their face. And sometimes people need that extra time and extra energy to get through it, and they don't always have that extra energy to spend on other people. And it's not to be selfish. It's because we want to be better, so we can be there for other people, so we can serve or give or be there from a full cup and not an empty cup. And that's for anybody, whether you have a dinged up mental health or not. You cannot pour from an empty cup, right? You cannot pour from an empty container. So if you feel like your container is empty or your cup is empty, you need to sit down and practice some self-care. But I wanted to share that because I wanted people to know that when somebody has a dinged up mental health, don't ignore them. Okay, my father doesn't always understand. I think he understands it more now. Sometimes he'll say something that makes me question whether he understands it. But the point is unlike my mom, he's trying to understand it. And that's not a reflection on my mom. I mean, it used to be for me. It used to make me angry that, my dad listens, but my mom didn't. But then I realized, she was just afraid. She was afraid of what might happen to me, because you hear about all this stuff, right? People losing their children who have, taken their own lives, or it's just all this crazy stuff, no pun intended. But for those of us who are trying to work through things, the best that we can do is just move through it. And like I said, my therapist has, she's always telling me, you have the tools, you need to use them. And sometimes I even come up with new ones. But I thought in my head, what would she be telling me right now? What would she be telling me? She would be telling me, Shelly Marie, you got to stop living in the past. The past is back there. You're here in the present. And so I went through the deck of cards and I pulled one that I thought would be perfect for this kind of situation, for people who are struggling to move forward, for people that are struggling to find their happiness, to find their joy, because they might be stuck in some kind of old feeling. And that's permission. You're allowed to give yourself permission to move forward, to do the things, to let go of all the negative things from your past, to let go of whatever your shortcomings might have been in the past, or whatever you might have done that you feel wasn't on the on the up and up, but you had to do it for yourself. And like I said, I didn't like lying to my mom, telling her that I had the flu, but I knew she wouldn't understand that I was in the midst of just something I mentally could not handle at the moment. And because of my dinged up mental health. And like I wanted to be very clear early on that this was something that I hadn't started to deal with yet. I never really approached my mental health with any type of concern or need to get better until after she died, because I had to figure out how to push through that. And it turns out, for as much as she says I needed to be strong, I was strong. I realized how hard it was to get through some of the things that I'd been through in my life. I realized how hard it was to get through some of the emotions and the feelings and all that stuff that I had been through in my life. And I pat myself on the back now. But this seemed to be one thing I couldn't let go. For all the things I've been through, this was the one thing that I struggled to let go of. And I figured this was the time. So I gave myself permission. So remember, these are the sarcastic cards. They're the self-helpy cards without all the self-helpiness. So I give myself permission to live my best, biggest, dreamiest dream life. I deserve to make money doing what I love. I am able to create without suffering. I can be one of those people who lives inside a Pinterest board. After all, it'd be a shame to make my best life just sit there unlived, waiting for me to show up. And someone's got a wad of those upcycled wine crates full of succulents. I have no idea what that's supposed to be about, but, but actually, maybe I do. Maybe this is one of those cards where they make you think about it, because if you've ever had a succulent, it is so hard to kill them. If you are not a person with a green thumb, trust me, I've killed them. And people with when I was in an office, my coworkers would make fun of me. Like, how do you kill a succulent? I know, it's like, right? They are not hard to keep alive, like legit. If you want a plant and you're afraid you're going to kill it, get a succulent. Read on how to keep it alive, because first I underwatered it, then I overwatered it. then it just died a sad death. Two of them. I killed two of them. But trust me, I was so sad about that. It's like, oh my god, I have like a super brown thumb. But the point is succulents are resilient, and so are you. But you have to give yourself permission to be resilient. And I know that sounds dumb for some people. They're like, why you got to give yourself permission to be resilient? Because some people won't be. You're probably thinking, why did you need to give yourself permission to move on from the pain that you were feeling with your mom? Because I had to. Because in my brain, that's how it works. I had to remind myself that it's okay to move forward, Shelly Marie. It's okay to let that go. What can I do anything about it? No. Can I go back and change it? No, not unless I get a TARDIS and go in the, back in time. Or get a time machine from H.G. Wells' book, right? And go back in time. I can't. And I mean, I have a TARDIS, but it's a little small. But no, seriously, I can't. I can't go back and change that. The only thing I can change is how I approach it every year. And I mean, I've always loved the holidays, not so much because it's the holidays, but because I get to be with my family. And I don't want to do that anymore. Michelle says, wouldn't that be great? It would be great. But here's the thing. If I went back in time and told my mom the truth, I already know what she would have said. And no fault of her own, it would not have been supportive. Like I said, she would have just said, well, there would have been some Catholic guilt in there going, well, you should learn to be stronger. And this is your family. And it's one time a year. And you can suck it up for that much time. That year I couldn't. I tried really hard, but that year I couldn't. I hit bottom. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't, seeing straight. I couldn't. I had nothing in my tank. I had nothing in my cup to pour from. And, now I have a full cup and I keep sloshing it over because with worry, it's like I said in that one line from Bridge of Spies, why aren't you worried about it? It's like, would it help? It doesn't help. It doesn't help me. All it does is keep me from moving forward. All it does is anchor me to something I can't change. And so it would be fun to have a TARDIS or a time machine to go back in time and see all these fun things. Excuse me, but I can't change them. I can't change it. And maybe that's my lesson. Maybe 11 years ago this was supposed to happen. I am so sorry. I have incense going and it's burning a lot faster than I thought it would be. It's taking my breath away. Anyway. So yeah, it's giving me the shaky voice. So now I sound so emotional, but I'm not. So yeah, I thought about it and I worked through it. I thought about it some more. I worked through it some more. Had the weirdest freaking dream last night. It was like being in a horror movie, but it didn't scare me. It was just kind of like, what the hell? And yeah, and I think that had something to do with it because when I looked up, I had an iconic horror character in my dream last night. And believe it or not, when I looked it up, it's actually in the dream dictionary. So, online. So I was like, okay, well, a lot of this makes sense. You got to let go. You can't change your past, blah, blah, blah. So, and that's just it. So that's what this card is about. It's about giving yourself permission to live your best life, to take those Pinterest boards that you might be pinning things to and go out there and do it. Figure out how to do it. It's about not holding yourself back anymore because maybe you have guilt about something. If you have guilt about something and, the person is no longer here, you have to let it go. Sure, it's easier said than done. Or is it? It has taken me 11 years to let this go. Or I should say 10 years to let this go. Because that year I thought, hey, or maybe even 9 years, right? Because in 2012, I thought, well, there's always next Christmas. And then in 2013, my mom's like, well, there's always next Christmas. And like I said, next Christmas never came for either one of us. So the last Christmas I spent with my mother was literally 12 years ago. And, she died 9 years ago. So I can keep making myself feel bad about it, or I can let it go. Because like I said, it doesn't help to hang on to it. I mean, would it help to hang on to it? No, it doesn't help. Who suffers in this? I do. And I'm pretty sure my mom would want me to live my best life, as the card says. I'm pretty sure my mom would want me to take all those Pinterest boards and go do things that she can't do anymore. To go live this life that she got to live before I was born with my dad. My dad was in the military. My mom got to live in Germany. She got to visit Austria, she got to go to where The Sound of Music was, filmed. And that was our big movie growing up, right? That was a big family movie. So you have to give yourself permission to let go. You have to give yourself permission to free yourself from your pain. Is it going to hurt from time to time? Heck yeah. When we lose people and we love people, of course it's going to hurt from time to time. I miss my mom every day. I miss Sissy Joe every day. I miss my friend, a lot. I can't say every day because I didn't, we had a really good friendship, but Mom and Sissy were like my family. And I miss them every day. I think about them every day. Older sibling thinks about them every day. She thinks about her parents. Her parents have been gone for a long time too. But the question is, how long do we hang on to things? How long do we hang on to the guilt? How long do we hang on to the pain? When you have grief, the pain will come up. One memory one day might make you cry your eyes out. The next day it may make you laugh until you cry. It just depends on the day. So as I always tell people, even before I lost anyone truly significant in my life, I used to tell them, hey, you know what? You're not going to get over it, but you're going to learn how to live with it. And I think it's time that I learn how to live with this. But in this particular case, I have to let this pain go. I have to give myself permission to let go of that choice I made 11 years ago, because it's not serving any purpose but holding me back. And I don't deserve to carry that guilt anymore. I didn't deserve to carry that guilt to begin with. I think the only reason I felt guilty is because I couldn't be honest with her. But in a way, was that really my fault? I just didn't want to be judged. And, I wasn't strong enough to stand up for myself back then and explain, and I'm not sure even now if I'd ever been able to explain to my mom about mental health. But I maybe because she could have an open mind from time to time. So I think if somebody else had talked to her about it, maybe she would have listened. You can see where I get my stubbornness from. But actually I come by it honestly from both sides, my parents. But yeah, so I think if you're holding on to something, some kind of guilt, and it's something that you just can't change, you can't make an amends for, you can't apologize for, if you have to, journal it, write it out, burn it safely, or just rip it up and throw it in the trash. Let it go. Let it go. Give yourself permission to be happy. Give yourself permission to live this great life. Give yourself permission to let go of whatever it is that's holding you back. We all make dumb choices in life, okay? We're humans. We're humans. We're not perfect. We're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And sure, maybe sometimes the things that we've done might follow us. But we can't change it. This happened over a decade ago. Can I change it? No, I cannot. So I'm giving myself permission to move forward. And I suggest for all of you out there, give yourself permission as well. Okay. And if you have a dinged up mental health, especially around the holidays, please give yourself some extra care. Okay. I know it's hard, and I know it's, I know, I know how hard it is, but allow yourself to enjoy the journey and allow yourself to, enjoy the path. Give yourself that grace and that compassion that you would give somebody else. That you would give somebody else. Give yourself the empathy that you would give somebody else. Because remember, when you're pointing, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. So even if you're pointing in a nice way saying, hey, you know what? You deserve some compassion. Look at these little ones. They're still facing you. Compassion, empathy, grace. All right? Compassion, empathy, grace. You deserve it. You really do. So I'm going to read this one last time so you can get it stuck in your head. And then we'll move forward, right? And remember, succulents are resilient unless I'm in charge of them. But succulents are resilient. I give myself permission to live my best life. Oh, sorry. I got ahead of myself. I give myself permission to live my best, biggest, dreamiest dream life. I deserve to make money doing what I love. I'm able to create without suffering. I can be one of those people who lives inside a Pinterest board. After all, it'd be a shame to make my best life just sit there unlived, waiting for me to show up. Be fair to yourself. Stop letting your life live unlived. Yeah, that seemed to make sense in my head. So, make sense of it. Anyways, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I will see you. I'm still doing some work on myself, so I want to say I'll be back here tomorrow, but just in case, I will not. So I will see you when I see you. Oh no, I can't be back here tomorrow. I am support group for tomorrow for my friend who has she has an appointment, and so I am going to be moral support. Unfortunately, that's at 8 o'clock. So no, I will not be back tomorrow, but I will be back later this week. I am sure I will make myself come back. All right. So thank you, Baby Bear. And thank you, Baby Bear, for showing or for popping on. I can't always see people that pop on. So if you popped on I apologize. But if I didn't say hello to you, but because I keep seeing things going up, but now some of the names have disappeared. So, and when I'm talking, I'm just like, ooh, looking into my own eyes. So anyways, have a great, great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Put out the good vibes for my friend tomorrow in her appointment, please. That would really, really be helpful. And thank you, Baby Bear, and I love you too. So yeah, have a great, great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, give yourself permission to live your best life. Stop hanging on to stuff that can't be changed. If it can be healed, heal it. If it can be healed, heal it. If it can't be changed, try to figure out how to work through it and push through it so that you can figure out how to live your best life. Hanging on to the past only tears us down, and it only brings us down. The past is where we learn our lessons. The present is where we implement these lessons so that our future can benefit from what we've learned. All right. Well, that was pretty profound, right? Can't believe that flew out of my face. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon.